Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. Finally, it's here, the Painty Paper step-by-step tutorial that you have been asking for and I have been promising to make for years. I'm gonna make this so easy to follow, so simple and so fun that you're gonna want to jump right in. I'll even write those steps down. Oh yes, I will. And I'm not gonna tell you to just splash some paint on paper. No. You already know how to do that. This video is about, yeah, but how do I just splash paint on paper and have it look pretty? You're going to be so inspired, I promise you. And once we make some painting papers, I'm also going to show you how you can use them too, because that's always helpful, right? Right, let's get to it. All right, so first of all, obviously, since we're adding paint to paper, you want some heavier type of paper. I'm actually using watercolor paper, and this one is 180 GSM, so definitely something a little bit thicker. These are two different types of watercolor paper, and I'm not sure if they're both 180 GSM. It doesn't really matter as long as it's heavier than, you know, computer printer paper. All right, and the reason why I like watercolor paper is because it's got these little like textural surface. I like that, even though on the other side it's smooth. I like to use this textural side, and that's not always the case. Sometimes I just use plain paint paper. By all means, use any paper you have. You don't have to use watercolor paper. All right, next thing we need is, of course, paint. Now, the trick with paint is don't go pulling out all of the paint that you have. I suggest use 2 to 3 colors, and my trick is always also to have black and white. Well, seriously, where is my white? All right, here's my white, and it can be dark and light. It doesn't have to be black and white, but choose something dark and light so that it's really contrasting. You want a little bit of, well, a lot of contrast perhaps. And then choose a color. I'm going to go with this pink here. And the easy way to choose, at this stage, we're going to do 2 or 3 colors. So we have pink. This doesn't count. 2 to 3 other colors apart from black and white. All right, so I have pink. And now you might be thinking, well, what goes well with pink? Like, if you're not good with color, you can always Google it. I'm going to ask Google what 2 colors which 2 colors go well with pink. Let's see. And then you see here, Google will even show you which 2 colors go well with pink. So I'm going to go with this. Okay, so that's one hurdle out of the way. In case you struggle with what colors go well together, ask Google, or if you have a color wheel, you can check here on the color wheel. If I have a look at here, pink is a variation of red, and then the opposite of that color is here, and that's exactly what Google told me what goes well with pink, some type of a green. So this is what I have in my stash, and these are all cheap acrylic colors. Okay, this is even chalk paint, so just use whatever you have. And now at this point, I'm only going to choose 2 colors. So to start with, I'm going to go with these 2 colors, pink and this ugly green. And then I have this in my arsenal to play around with for this project, the first project that I'm gonna do. So I'm not overwhelming myself. I've only got a few colors chosen, and that's all. All right, pop this to the side. All right, I hope this makes sense. We're starting the list. First thing, choose a handful of colors. You want light, dark, and 3 others that are complementary, which means that go well together. So you might even want to choose like 3 different shades of pink, or like 3 different shades of green. That's also complementary. It doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to complicate anything. Okay, colors are ready. Next thing we're going to do is lay the color down, and we're starting only with 2. We're doing the base now. So first of all, protect your desk just using a piece of paper. And here is my dreaded white blank page that we're going to now start working on. 2 colors. And I'm using this smooth surface now. That this is going to be my palette, what's it called, like an artist's little palette thing. I don't know what it's called now. But I'm going to apply my paint here and here. 14 years this paint is old, and it's still perfectly fine, as you can see. I remember the project that I bought it for. Anyway, all right, here's my color. Next thing, I'm going to grab a brush, and I'm using a smushy brush. I'm going to lay down my color by smushing it down like this. Oh, and shaking, apparently. shaking the camera. I'm going to be smushing it into the page like this. At this stage, you just want to lay the color down, so you can just do this, right? You can do lines, you can use a sponge. You can use a sponge like this, dab into the color and sponge it on. Maybe I can do that. I don't know. I don't know. I like the brush idea, so I'm just going to go with brush. So I'm going to smush the color in, and you just want to like smush it onto the page all around. Smush it on. Don't overthink. We'll do a few different techniques. This is just one of them. You can use a plastic bag to do this. Maybe we can do that next. All right, so we've smushed on the green. Lovely. All right, now I do have a lot of green on my brush, and I only have one of these brushes. So I'm gonna try and like get rid of as much green as I possibly can off of the brush. I don't feel like washing it right now, to be honest with you. So I'm not being a perfectionist over here. Surprise, surprise. Believe it or not. Next, we'll smush it into the pink. Smush it in, and now go into the white bits. That's too much color. All right, so that's all smushed in. Now you can kind of look at your thing, and like, this is pretty darn ugly right now, isn't it? This is not, this is a painting paper. You can stop here if you want. I'm gonna get rid of those brush hairs in a moment. You can cover the white completely. You can have a look at the spots that are too saturated, like this here jumps out, this here jumps out, so I have too much pink there. I'm gonna go in and add green. I need more green. I've used up all of the green. All right, more green. Oh, thanks, Banjo. You always have to come and say hello. Say hello to the people. All right, here we go. Get rid of that too much pink. Okay, so you can leave it at here. I can see those two splotches here. Don't worry about things like that at this point. At this point, you've got two colors down, and you might want to move on to the next section, or you might want to add a third color. I don't know why I'm adding this. Wasn't planned, but here I am. I'm adding the third color. I wanted to make it really simple and just keep it at like, you know, two colors, but I'm doing it now. You honestly, you can't go wrong with this. It's impossible. You can't go wrong. All right, let's move on to the next section. And you know what? I'm going to lay this on a white piece of paper so that it's small, so that you can see better. This is a little bit distracting, this one. All right, here we go. Much better. All right, next section. Let's write this down. Lay color down, 2 to 3 colors. Very, very simple. Next thing we're going to do is mark making. All right, let me explain. If you've been watching me for a while, you will already have one of these in your arsenal. So these are all of my mark making tools. We have lids from pens and markers and food stuff, and all different sizes of like circles, and I don't know, we have textural things. I don't think I've ever used this one, but it's a cork. And then this thing from packaging. I love using this foam thing. It has such beautiful, leaves such beautiful marks. And this as well. This was from my kids' mat when they were a little kid, when they were like crawling babies actually. And now that I'm here, I just want to tell you that kids' shoes, like little kids' shoes, the bottom of the shoe usually has really beautiful patterns. So there's that. Just to demonstrate, see this? Bottoms of shoes have beautiful patterns. So, but then other stuff too. You have like brushes. This has beautiful things, and like little, I don't know what this is, and foamy stuff. I think you're getting the picture. But these are my most used tiny little circles. So this was a lid on a lip liner, makeup, and this was a pen lid. So even if you don't have one of these boxes already made up, I'm sure that you can find things like this that you can use right now. This is a coffee, Nescafe, you know, jar lid. And then I have stamps, which I kind of sometimes use, but anyway. Oh, and look at it. These are beautiful. I'm going to use this today probably. So these are from the nasal swab, you know? You know what I'm talking about. I mean, they haven't been used. They have been used, but for paint, not for nose. Not for nose swabbing. All right, I don't need to, I think I've shown you everything. This is just styrofoam, and we have some more sponges. and brushes and this also. This is quite nice. All right, so don't overwhelm yourself. I'm going to start off with, I'm going to just choose a few things I'm going to use today. I'm going to have this. I might have this. I'll have this lid, some different shape. I'm just choosing a few shapes. I'm not going to use everything, but maybe something like this. I love the little circle one. All right, so I've just chosen a couple of materials, and I love circles, and I have here 3 different sizes of circles and then some other stuff. If you're not into circles, you can just use something like this over the whole thing. So I think it seems like we're starting with the most complicated project first, but actually it's not complicated at all, as you'll see. And I decided I also want to do this big circle first. Okay, so forget about all of this now. Now just focus on your project. And you want to start mark making with your largest mark making tool first. So my largest mark making tool, actually no. I'm going to start with the background. And I'm going to use this to give me something on the background. So you'll see what I mean. It is only so much talking I can do. I actually have to show you. So I am going to start with black paint. All right, we're going in for contrast right away. And instead of dabbing my tool into the color and getting a lot of color on my tool, I like to do this just real quick. Just apply that paint onto the tool and start marking away. Look at this, look at this. Isn't that lovely? And just keep on going, just stamp away. This is very contrasty. And you don't have to wait for that color underneath to dry at all. You can just do everything in one sesh. And don't overthink anything, just stamp away. All right, that's it, done. That's tool number 1 is done. Okay, now we're going to go in with the largest mark making tool. And my largest one is this circle, and I'm thinking of using this color. I just have a piece of plastic here, and I'm going to pop some color down onto the piece of plastic and kind of paint it flat so that I don't have a whole bunch of color in one spot. And then I'm going to take my tool and stamp in it, and then stamp onto my project. Stamp away. Anyway, don't think, just do. Make sure you get some off the page and on the page, and just do whatever comes to mind. Isn't that lovely? All right, we're done with the largest tool. Next, I am going down to my smaller one. So we're going down in size. If you haven't noticed, we're starting with the largest and we're moving down to the smallest tool. So now I have this one, and what color should I use? I can go in with this color. I'm still sticking to that palette that I started off with at the beginning. And you know what? I think there are no rules. If I feel like adding an extra color at some point, I'm gonna, okay? Just letting you know. All right, so now I know I'm off screen over here, but I'm just gonna do the same thing by smooshing or painting the color nice and flat. Here we go, paint it nice and flat. I like using plasticky surface because it doesn't eat up the paint. If you were to use paper, it kind of eats up the paint. All right, at this point, I'm going to start overlapping with my large circles. And you can see right away if this color is working or not. And it's very, very pale, so I'm just gonna keep on going. I'm just gonna stick with it. Overlap away. This is just one way of making painty papers, and I'm showing this first because it's my favorite way. It is proven. I don't know if I've shown this in the intro, but this is a journal cover. I've upcycled a notebook and painted directly onto a notebook, and I just love the circles. I love that look. So since this color is very, very pale, I can just go ahead and apply it all over. If it was very contrasting, I would just do the overlapping circle thing. But since it's so subtle, I can really do whatever I want, right? And so can you. All right, so that's done. Now we're moving down, or maybe not. I'm gonna move to a different shape. I'm gonna use this shape. And what color? I'm thinking of bringing in a third color. I'm thinking of like something like this. This is like bronze. It's just calling me. If I had to challenge myself to stick with exactly the same colors, I would go with pink again. So bring the background into the marks. That's what I would do. But since I have set no such rules for myself, I'm simply bringing in, we're doing bronze. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the screen, but I just wanted to show you what I'm doing, stamping it in. And now I'm gonna just, I don't know, hope for the best. Here we go. I'm gonna go always. I'm gonna go vertical and horizontal, and I'm not gonna go diagonal. I'm sticking to just vertical and horizontal. Then I'm gonna do off the page, everywhere off the page. That's already looking good. You can like call this your painty paper. You can make it real simple. Each one, you can follow the exact same steps and each one will look different. All right, that's enough of this one. Now moving down, and now I'm going for a lot of contrast. I'm going to go over here into the black. Oh, but I haven't done any white. Okay, I'm gonna do white next. Here we go, white circles, and I'm just going to place them wherever I feel like. Perhaps some will overlap. I'm just gonna go over the whole thing and just do white circles. Sometimes I like to tell myself, okay, I'm gonna overlap every single yellow circle, which I don't think you can see very well in screen, but that way it gives me something to follow, I suppose. It just makes it easier. By the way, I'm gonna write all of this down when I finish. I don't want to kind of stop after each step to write things down, because then I'll lose the flow. We can't lose the flow. Cannot. And don't forget to go off the page as well, off the page, because that makes it look, I don't know, maybe it doesn't. I was gonna say, makes it look kind of complete. Is this fun or what? Maybe watching isn't so much fun, but doing most definitely is a lot of fun. Okay, we're moving down. What's next? We have the little circle, smallest circle, and I'm gonna go in with the black. And I am going to overlap all the yellow ones, just like this. I might even do something like this. 3 in a cluster, like this. And see if I like that. Perhaps they don't all have to be in a cluster, but I actually like the cluster. So, cluster it is. And now I'm just gonna go all the way around randomly, put the circles in. I'm not gonna do, I'm just looking at kind of like what's looking empty and what's looking like too much. You can even at any point turn your project around. It gives you a different perspective. Now I can see, oh, I don't know, that looks a bit empty. This looks empty. What else? This looks empty. I don't know, let's do one here. Okay, perhaps this is enough of the black. Maybe let's do one here. I'm gonna do a cluster here. Okay, that's enough of this for now. I can always come back and do more. All right, next. We're going into details now, so I'm going to go with the dreaded nasal swab, and I am going to now use, I have quite a bit of this color left, so I'm just gonna go in and use that, and I'm gonna do dots, but I'm gonna tell myself, okay, do dots inside, maybe we can do inside the white circle. So I'm gonna find all the white circles, I'm gonna do dots inside, and then I might do dots wherever I feel like. But I'm starting off just giving myself kind of something to follow. Okay, that's how that's looking so far. Now I'm gonna bring in another element. I'm gonna bring in something straight like this. I actually used this tool in my paper weaving project. You might have seen the video, but multifunctional tools right over here. So I am going to go in with something very contrasting. So I'm gonna go in with black, and I'm gonna do lines. I'm gonna do vertical lines. Maybe I'll do 2 together. I'll do vertical, and then I'm going to do horizontal lines. I might do horizontal lines now. There's no rules. There are no rules, and you know this. I might do vertical and horizontal on the same little thing. Okay, look at this. But what I'm trying to do is to keep the lines straight. I don't want any crooked lines, because that kind of kills everything. If I accidentally do a crooked line for some reason, I feel like that wouldn't, you know. Anyway, let's do lines. And don't forget also, of course, to go over, off the page. And then you decide when is enough. I don't know, I might turn it around and decide, what do I think so far? I think this, oh, see, I did a crooked line. You can do like something like this. I'm not gonna, but you can do like something like this. That would look cool. You can do whatever you want, really. All right, so now, I mean, look at your thing and you can decide here, I'm done with this. I've had enough of this one. And this looks good or it doesn't look good. At this stage, I mean, it does look good, but I feel like it's missing, definitely missing something, like something to give it life. It's very muted. I'm not sure about the colors. And I do know that I want to go in with this little tool and I want to do stuff like this. I want to do dots. These are all little details now that I feel like I want to do. But I also want to give it some more life. So first I'm going to start with the dots. So as you know, we've done the nasal swab thing, dots that are chunkier than the dots I'm about to do. So I'll show you, I can even go into each one of the, I don't know. I can go into, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? There's just so much that we can do that sometimes it's hard to choose. So first I might go into all of the green ones in the middle and do a little dot like that. I don't know if that's worth my time, to be honest with you, but like it's these tiny little details that make the project. All right, and then I can perhaps decide to do on each one of these big, oh, I'm all the way off screen. On each one of these big circles, I can do some dots. You can even grab a Sharpie and do some dots. I can do some white dots. So I'm gonna dot away and see where it takes me. I'm thinking even see the inside of these, these aren't circles, but like oval shapes. Actually, I like this look. I'm gonna go into each one of these and do 3 little dots like this. See this? It's begging for some dots. Right there in the corner, just like so. Okay, I can definitely stop here, but I'm thinking, like I said before, I feel like I need to liven it up. I'm thinking to even bring another color. Maybe I can do like a bright orange and just go in with something. I'm really into circles, so it would definitely be circles. Or, I don't know, let's see how it's gonna look. I can do some scratches perhaps. Maybe something very subtle, just in case if it doesn't work. Let's try it here. I can do little lines like this. So each little black circle or cluster is getting a little line by the looks of it. Some horizontal, some vertical. I want to keep it really simple and just use a couple of colors, and we are really, but here I am doing some more dots. Perhaps you don't need to take it this far. You stop whenever you feel like you're happy with the project. If you feel like you're missing something, then you just keep on adding. Enough of that. Another thing that you can do is paint inside some of the circles. This isn't really as gold as I would like, but I was kind of like hoping it's gonna look really gold, but it's not. So I'm just coloring some of the black circles that don't have any lines or anything. And it's barely visible, this gold paint, so I might go to glitter. Okay, this isn't everyone's idea of fun, but I like glitter. This is glitter glue. And then I have this kind of glitter. I found this secondhand, which is why I don't think it's supposed to be this hot, like gelled. It's supposed to be a bit runny, but anyway, I am gonna go in and just randomly add glitter on some of these circles that don't have any other stuff happening, or like anywhere else I feel like, really. All right, we're not going to overdo with the glitter, but you can see I've just placed it strategically here and there so that it gives me a little bit of shine. I like that look. And I also, this doesn't make any sense because we make painty papers to rip them up and cut them up and do stuff with them, but I like to ink the edges. So here we go. I'm going to call this piece done, even though I I'm not entirely happy with it, but I want to show you other stuff. So I'm going to move on from this, but I don't actually mind it. And I also want to show you that this one here is done the exact same way. I have literally repeated the steps on what I did on this one. I repeated the exact same steps on this one, but different colors. So this is what I mean by you can follow the same formula and each time you will get a different result. If you have a look closer, you can see the oval shape, you can see the large, big shape, and then you can see the big circle, smaller circle, and dots, lines, dots on the inside like little eyes. You see this? Literally exactly the same steps, okay, is here. And now this can become a journal cover, it can become all sorts of different things. I'm going to show you all the things that I've used my Painty papers for later on, but now what I want to show you is what to do. I mean, we will do some other stuff, but first I want to get rid of this paint. So I'm going to make a Painty paper with the leftover paint and no mark making tools, none whatsoever. Because honestly, this can be really, really simple. And you might not be into the whole, now use the bigger circle, now use the smaller circle. Perhaps you just want to put paint down, you know. And this is what I do with my leftover paint, because I never, ever like just get rid of paint leftover. Like all of this is going to get used, whatever isn't dry. So first I might use up my black, and I'm just gonna, now this is why I like the textured watercolor paper, because look, when you start putting down paint, you see those little ridges. Isn't that lovely? So really, essentially, I'm just cleaning my brush over here, and I have a whole blob of black paint there, so that's just the way it is. Clean your brush. Get it all out. Get it out of your system, brush. You can do going the other way as well. It doesn't have to be one way. You can do whatever you want. All right, black is all used up. Now I have the green. I have a whole bunch on my brush over here, and I also have some on this plastic over here. So I'm gonna wipe most of it off and then go back to this. Oh, muting everything down. Oh, it's looking good. I'm gonna use the smooshy brush and like smoosh this part here. I might even smoosh wherever I feel like. All right, so that's all of the green used up. Now I have this pink left, almost all dry. And now we shall add the pink. I don't have a lot of pink, so I'm just gonna strategically place into the white spots perhaps. All right, that's all the pink I have. I do have, seems like a little bit of gold. It's all dried now. It's all dried. And I have a tiny little bit of this bronze left. I have some on my brush. I actually have quite a bit on my brush. Now I'm just gonna gently start adding some of that bronze here and there. This blob, there's no hope by the looks of it, unless I go over it with white. And the whole point of this, oh, I do have a little bit of white. It's all dry. So most of this is all dry now. So what I'm going to do now is call this my background for the next project, let's say. Okay, because either it's going to look good, which it isn't bad. Oh, how did I manage to get color on my table? So either at this point it's going to look good or it's not. I actually don't mind it without the blob. This was yesterday's color cleaning project, and I like how this looks. And I actually don't mind how this looks. I think it looks quite nice, but I don't like the blob. So I'm gonna call this a background for my next technique that I want to show you, which, believe it or not, I actually have never done in my life before. So this will be fun. All right, I actually saw this idea on Facebook last night, and I thought I'm gonna have to give it a go and try it out. So here we go. First thing we need is a blob of paint. By the looks of it, we need something slightly runny. Okay, I haven't done this before, so let's just try it out. And then we have one of these piping bags, and now I have to put some water in there. All right, I'm gonna test it out here first. It's supposed to give you like a rose. Okay, I have some water in there. I'm gonna smoosh it into the paint. Smoosh. And then you put it on your project. How's this looking? Does that look like a rose? Oh goodness, that's a big fail. I think I need less water, so then I can smoosh it down more. I'm determined to make this work. Okay, I don't know, that does kind of look like a rose. Should I do it? Should I do it on my project? You know what, I'm just gonna, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It was just cleaning off paint anyway. Here we go. I think I smooshed it down too much and now I have water going everywhere. I'm just gonna, let's complete this so we can move on. I might as well just do it now. I'm invested now. So much for Facebook stuff. It looks so easy, and then when you go to do it, it's like horrendous. I'm hating this right now because it's leaking and all sorts of stuff, but I'm committed. I need to finish this. Get rid of the blob over here, perhaps. All right, thanks Facebook for nothing. I'm just gonna have to fix it up with other stuff. Oh, I should have chosen a different color. Now I'm having a little challenge to myself to make this look like something. Yes, we can do this. I'm gonna go in with mark making and just add marks. That thing that I tried to do just before, it was actually mother and daughter thing that I saw on Facebook, and they were making like roses and then they drew a bouquet, and it just looked so pretty and easy to do, like little kids were doing it. And that's why I thought, oh, I'm gonna do that because it just looked so easy. But then I hated actually doing it because all of the water was spilling through and it was just annoying, as you've just witnessed. But I suppose, I mean, anything that you use to put some color down like this and then add some details and stuff is gonna make a nice little painty paper. This isn't all that nice, but I reckon it can be. I wonder what will happen if I use a stamp and stamp away with something contrasting like the yellow. Okay, not bad that. I'll turn this around so you can see that's actually not too bad, not too shabby. And perhaps I can leave it here, but we still have the blob, and we have the blob and kind of blobby all over the place, but it's actually looking much better in real life than it is in video, I have to say. So I kind of can't help myself, and I just want to go in with some circles. But what color should I use? It has to be something that's going to stand out and not get lost. So I'm going to go with maybe like this lilac color, purpley kind of color. I'm changing colors, something brighter. I think I've kind of managed to take away a little bit from the blob. And now I'm going to finish off. Not much point doing the black dots. Let's see a dot in the stamped parts. Coming back to the nasal swab, I'm going to dot away my leftover black paint like this onto the white circles. And now that I'm doing it, I'm feeling like I did not need to do that, but I'm doing it now, so there's no going back. All right, I am going to leave this one here as it is. It's not bad. It's nothing special, but it's not like amazing or anything like that. And in all honesty, most of these painty papers, when you look at them on their own, they don't look amazing. Okay, it's when you using them in projects that some of them I actually really like this one. All right, so what I'll do now is, first of all, I'm going to do this list. And then I'm going to give you more ideas and show you more projects and keep adding to the list. So first of all, start from largest to smallest. And here's a little visual reminder. We're mark making from largest to smallest. And then I'm going to write down circles, lines. You can do dots. They're so hard to contain because you can do nail scratches. You can do anything, literally. You can do a comb. You can literally grab a comb and do this on the page with the comb. Like this, I don't know, let's write down stamps, etc. That's all I'm gonna say, etc. It's too broad, too many things I can't think of. So that's why I like to contain myself. I chose, as you can see, my big circle and the smaller one and smaller one, and then I contain myself, because if I think, what can I use? You can use anything at all. So it's easier to just select a few little items and just work with those and see what you like. I found what I like, and I really like this look, and I really like this look, and this journal cover that I painted, like I like this look. But your thing might be something different. So you find your own formula, what you like, and then stick with that, and then do all sorts of variations with that kind of thing. It just makes it easier, rather than having this broad, sky's the limit kind of thing that can paralyze us. All right, now let me show you some of the other ones. And by the way, I showed right here, you want to start incorporating like the contrasting colors, you know, black and white. So I'll just say using contrasting colors. So you can have, for example, if you did a very light background like this one, let's say this is really light background, you have your lilac and perhaps your pale yellow, you might want to go in with a dark blue. It doesn't have to be black and white, but contrasting, you know, something that's going to really stand out. And then, you know, you play around with that. All right, I hope this is helpful. Now I'm thinking like this isn't helpful at all. You have to let me know if this is helpful or is this just confusing. All right, let's have a look at some of the other things that you can do. This one's very intricate, took me a long time, and I did it many years ago. The way that I did it is with a toilet paper roll, not this one, obviously, but I made like a heart shape with a toilet paper roll, and then using black ink, I stamped all the little hearts, overlapping them. And then I painstakingly went in and colored all the overlapping parts. Probably not something I would do again, because this took a very long time. And hence I've been keeping, I'm talking like prior to YouTube days. This was, I think I was pregnant with my daughter. So definitely over 10 years ago, this one. And I'm not cutting into it because I remember how long it took. So, and I kind of like it, and I'm keeping it. All right, this one here, very, very similar to what I've just done on video, so I don't have to go into it. But a lot of you, I showed this in my last video, a lot of you said you like this one. I think it looks quite ugly, but let me show you what you can do with it. All right, here is Painty Paper in action. This is just one thing that I did most recently in my previous video, where I did the paper weaving technique, created this beautiful cover. And you can see I used this Painty paper. So, you know, I cut it up and did paper weaving with it. And I think it looks stunning. I love how this looks, in all honesty. And this, you know, not a huge fan, but there it is. All right, this one here, you can see a bunch of different colors. Now try and separate the background from the mark making, and you will see what's happening. Because maybe at first glance, when you look at this, you think, oh, that's very pretty. I don't know, but when you try and separate the background from like the mark making, you can see that it's not that fabulous, in all honesty. That's what I'm seeing. So anyway, you can see here that I've used contrasting colors. I've used like red and yellow, smushing in the yellow and the green, and I have purple, just smush it in, smush it. I was probably cleaning brushes, okay? And then I came in with this tool, and I can recognize it because I only have a small selection of tools here that I use. I'm not gonna keep growing this. You only need a few things. This is a perfume bottle top, and I did the black, and then I did the little white circles, you can see, and the white here, this is all mark making. You see this white over the top, that's this sponge. So we are I am repeating the exact same things. Like, look at this. That's what I did here with this sponge, the black. You can see those black sections here, and you can see the white section, exactly the same little tool. And just very quickly, I mean, these are examples where I've cut up the paper. I mean, I don't usually cut them up. I like to hoard them for some strange reason. You can digitize them. and print them out and keep reusing. But here's a paper weaving project, and this is another paper weaving project, and I think we're done with the paper weaving examples now. Let me show you this one as well. Just smushing paper down. I didn't even use any circles or any of that stuff, but I did use, you can recognize my tool, the one and only, the stamping. You see these little circles. You can see brush strokes when I'm pointing it out. Like when you look at it first glance, you might think, well, that's pretty. But when I'm pointing things out, I'm such a perfectionist that I can see all these things, right? Brush strokes and like smushy bits and more, you know, but overall, I really like this piece. So probably best not to zoom into little details. And then what? I'm not sure what I was going to say. This can become a journal cover, and you can have a little something here. Something like, it's quite similar to this. Actually, I was trying to recreate this look because I really, when I did it, I loved how it looked. And I wanted to paint this journal cover exactly the same way. And then when I did, because this was actually a canvas notebook, and I just painted over it. And when I did, I didn't like it, so I went in with circles. So I'm actually not sure looking at it now. And, you know, don't forget, we do have some glittery glitter happening, which you can't really see now on screen for some reason. I'm not sure which one I like better. I do know that I love the combination of black, red, and like gold, and a little bit of white. I want to show you this kind of canvas painting that I did, and there's a little bit of obscenity down the bottom. I have to clean this before I continue. So what I did here, this was like a family outing that we did, and we went to this like painting thing, and it was very like, here's a canvas, here are paints, paint whatever you feel like. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do what I know how to do, and I'm just gonna smush paint down. And you can see here that I have that combination of that I like, of the black, the red, and the yellow, and the white. And then I went in and scribbled my inner thoughts, which hopefully you can't read. I can't even read this. I can read this word, and I think I wasn't having a very good day, so I think I was just like letting it all out. But that's another thing you can do. It's like the calm thing that I told you before. You can paint, and then you can go in and just scratch. You can do a semic writing. You can pretend to do some writing, and or you can like do proper writing, or you can just scribble away, you know. So you can scratch anything in. You can do like lines, scratch them in. You can do anything. But once you know what you like these colors, for example, I know I like these colors, and I have these quite different projects using similar, same colors, and they kind of do look different, don't they? All right, well, here's a fun one. I love this, and I'm hoarding it. I did this years ago as well. So what I did here, this is kind of like a faux leather look, but it doesn't have to be a faux leather look. It can be like something drastic like this. What is this? Dragon skin? Could it be dragon skin? So basically all this is a lighter paper. I'm not using heavy paper for this, because what we need to do is scrunch up the paper. I'm trying to remember how I did it. Did I paint the whole thing and then scrunch it up while it's wet? No, I don't think I did. Perhaps I painted the whole thing and waited it in blue, waited for it to dry. I suppose there's a few different ways that you can do it. Paint it in blue, scrunch it up. Perhaps I scrunched it up while it was wet. Yes, it looks like I did, because the other side. Okay, here's what I did. I painted the whole thing in one color. In this case, it was brown. In this case, it was blue. Then I put on gloves, and I scrunched up that paper, being careful that it doesn't tear. I scrunched it up, and then I opened it up, and then I went and I added on top. So on the scrunch up, because when you scrunch up the paper, then you have all these beautiful ridges, and anything you go over on top is gonna stand up. And all these veins, I'm sure you know all of this. Look at all these veins in the paper. I've used this technique in particular for faux leather look on journal covers, especially this one. Look at how gorgeous this looks. Look at it. Isn't it just stunning? And then you start experimenting from there. This was, I believe, done in a tutorial. This was actually done with tissue paper, and I have a tutorial on this. So I might link it down below if I remember what tutorial. I have so many tutorials now. Anyway, it's a journal cover, and it's just experimentation, and I love how this looks. Why am I hoarding this? I suppose I like to have samples so that I don't forget. All right, next thing, let's do this one because very simple and easy and no mark making business. I put down color, purple, and then I went into pink, and then you can see a graduation of color. And then I took a scrunched up, I'm just grabbing things out of my bin now, a scrunched up plastic bag or even cling wrap. And then just like that ridiculous thing I tried before with the roses, instead of having it filled up with water and leaking everywhere, you just crunch it up. And then you take your paint. And the secret is, when you have your paint, this is all drying, but when you have your paint, you want to not have globs and blobs of paint. So you want to kind of paint it on, and then you smush it on with a very contrasting color like the black here, and then you go and you smush. Oh, how much better does that look than a rose? I have an urge to let's grab a really ugly one. Now let's grab this one. This was just some sort of playing around. Okay, I don't have enough paint here. All right, you get the idea. Not the best demonstration, I know, but that's how this one was born. Doesn't it look nice? See that? Oh, it's a bit of some other color. Who knows how that happened? Obviously, I use a bit of that color. That's that same pistachio color that I've had for 14, 15 years or longer. All right, moving on. This one, very elegant. I love this one, and it's very simple. I just did black paint, painted the whole thing black, and then I took my tool, this one, and I went in with gold, tup, cleaned it off. Then I went in with bronze, tup, done. Then I took this tool. You see I'm using the exact same tools. This one, gold paint, plop, plop, gold paint, plop, plop, and so on. And you see, bit of this, bit of this, bit of this, bit of... So it doesn't get really any easier than this. Look at all the paint I have on my hands. I'm due for a break, but I'm going to show you this one. This was also done many years ago. Perhaps it's not your thing. Actually, it's not my thing either right now, but this is done with a balloon. So you may have seen that method. So you blow up a balloon, not big, just tiny little balloon. And then you have paint, just like I did over here with this, but instead of this, we're using a blown up balloon. And you have paint next to each other. So you can see over here, we have blue, yellow, red, green, kind of together. And then you smush the balloon in the paint, and then you go ahead and you smush the balloon on the paper. This, I believe that's like a kids craft type of thing. I don't particularly like the colors, but I actually really love the texture, and you can only see this when I come in real life or when I come up really close. Look at that, gorgeous. Here is another one with the balloons, and you can probably see more what's happening. You can literally see the outline of the balloon being smushed down onto the page and the paint. And this would look nice if you do like what I was attempting to do with the rose before. If you do like a few up here, and then you add stems and you make it into a bouquet, or something like that. All right, now I just wanted to show you stuff like this. I probably don't even think that I made this one. I think it was one of my kids. And with this type of stuff, something that's not great, let's say, you couldn't, you know, scan this. You wouldn't want to scan this and then print it over and over again, unless it's sentimental, like it is to me. It's sentimental to me. To you, you might think that that's not bad, or you might think that it's quite ugly. So for this kind of stuff, what I like to do is cut it down and then I use those not so great papers in larger projects. So here's an example. It's a perfect example because you can see it in action. You know, this is the paper. And then I think this was like an activity that me and my kids did together. So everyone was doing kind of the same thing. And then you can see here, I had this paper and I thought, okay, I'm going to pull out this orange and apply fabric. And now that's kind of tying it in. And then at the front, you can see like this was a tutorial. I'll link it down below with the Whimsical Rainbows tutorial. And I was just going with what goes with this paper. Now this painty paper on its own wasn't very pretty, but made into a project, I think it works really well. Same with this one. Like, this is just me experimenting when I first started crafting, and I was just literally, you can see all the brush strokes. Look at that. I was literally putting paint on the paper, and like I'll do it like this, then do another color, then another color, and another color. And over time you start developing skills that lead you to, I don't know, like this sort of stuff. Not that I think that this is great artwork or anything like that, but it's definitely more advanced and looking better than these here. And I want to show you this one because this is pretty cool technique. I haven't done this technique since I made this paper, but you can see here chunks of paint. And the way that I did this is I applied color onto my page. I'm just trying to remember if I applied one color. I'm sure some of you will know this technique, so if you do, write it down in the comments. But basically, I would apply color onto my page all over, and then I'd grab a big chunk of cling wrap, plastic, and lay it down, and then smush it up like this. So I can't remember if I actually put the other color onto the cling wrap or if I put both yellow and pink onto the paper at the same time. This I cannot remember, unfortunately, but it's a technique that you can really play around with. Cling wrap while your page is still hot. I was gonna say while your page is still hot. No, while your paint is still wet, just smush the paint on and apply cling wrap and smush it up. Smush, smush, smush. And then lift the cling wrap off the page and see what happens. It's all about experimentation. Okay, I think we can move on from this. You can see the other cover. So yeah, let's really hurry on from here. You can do things like this. You can see dripping color, you know, have some watercolor and just drip it down the page like this. I did a bit of stamping. I did a bit of, I don't even know what that is. I was just playing around with just mark making and putting things down. Even writing some words I can read. Peace, acceptance, strength. I did some stamping. All right. And then here again, just smushing. You can see brush. I think this was just me cleaning off brushes. Getting rid of extra paint. And I have this page now that I can move on and do something with it. I don't know why I'm hoarding all these things. For some reason, I'm very attached to my painted papers, even if they're quite ugly, but I think they look so pretty in projects. And then we have some sprays. I put literally acrylic paint into a spray bottle and then I sprayed, but what happens after a while is it clogs up and you can't use it. This is a cereal box that I went and painted on top of 8 years ago. You can see just applied background, and then I used stamps. These are stamps, but then I outlined all of the painted bits with white pen and black liner pen and did some dots. So it's up to you how far you want to take this. This, I don't know about this. Let's move on from this. And then, okay, this is just stamping the whole page with styrofoam or with one of these. I think I might have had smaller pieces of this. Exact same pattern being stamped over and over and over again. And then I actually made a whole journal, which I sold now, but these are just 2 painty papers. And what I did is ripped into strips. I feel like this is watercolor because it feels, I hate that feeling of watercolor. Dried watercolor feels like chalk. If I had the journal here, obviously I would show you, but I'm pretty sure I sold it. So I had strips of white and then purple and then white and then purple. You get the idea. I made a whole extra paper of this kind of a look. It's kind of hard to explain since you can't really see the finished project. But then I also sewn down each join, and it looked really nice. Like I had this huge paper that I made into a journal. Anyway, not quite the same when I can't show it. This one was done many years ago. As you can see, it was from a breast milk pumping bottle. Yeah, so many years ago. Just a bit of paint and some circles and then some doodling, and then this is also on a pasta box, and just stamping, some actual wooden stamp, so you can recognize this in a lot of these papers. Let's move on. And this is just my paint cleaning thing. So why did I keep it? I don't know. And then these are just random papers that it's not just paint, it's actually like gluing stuff down. This was true beginnings of my journey into paper crafting. You can see here stenciling and this dropping of the liquid, and you know, all sorts of different things, and not very nice looking things, but I like to see how far I've come. Look at this. Now that is ugly. And what was I attempting to do here? Who knows, but not very nice. Look at this drawing here. Like this, practice makes perfect. Like you gotta do ugly things before you can do nice things. And look at this Halloweeny one. Ta-da! Okay, so this is another technique of like blowing with a straw. Very runny paint. So this was acrylic paint that was watered down with water. And then you can either blow with a straw to create this, or you can use the little pump thing, like this little pump thing, even though this probably isn't big enough. And then you kind of, you know, just put some paint down and blow it, and then it goes into, I don't know if you would want to do this thing. It looks like a tree, kind of, some type of a red tree. All right, now that I'm here and I've got all of my supplies and paints out, I'm going to do one more painty paper, and I'll do it speed it up version, no talking. But I just wanted to say, going back to this piece and this word down here, when you're playing around with your painty papers, you can totally incorporate some therapy into it. I believe on this day I was angry about something. I was pissed off. Could have been something like that driver that went into our lane and nearly hit us, for example. And I was feeling this energy, like angry energy, and I scratched it all down. And I can see some words. I can see, and I don't even know what I wrote. It was a semic-writing by the looks of it, but I can just work out two words, and this one down here, which I left it there, but I can go and smush some paint there if I want to hide it. So anyway, this is a good way to just get it all out, get it out of your system. All right, here's another painty paper real quick. All right, as you can see, I've covered the whole paper in black. It's coming up as kind of gray in the video, but you can see brush strokes, so I can go in and smush it in. Okay, you can see what I did there. I just smushed in black paint, so you can't see brush strokes. You can see like smushed in parts. All right, next, I'm gonna go in with gold and stamp away. You can probably see some color blobs. Since I got a color blob there, I'm gonna add a color blob kind of other places too. All right, now I'm gonna choose a different color. And I forgot to film that part, so I've chosen a different color, which was bronze, and I've chosen a different tool, which was this foamy thing, and I stamped away. As you can see, just stamped away. You can see I have that bronze happening. I can't believe I forgot to film it. And I can totally call this piece done. I'm actually quite happy with how it looks. I don't actually need to add anything further to it. It kind of looks similar to this one, you know. But now I feel like I should do something because I missed that section. I didn't film it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in with yellow and this little thing. Or maybe even better, I'm going to do lines, crooked lines. What do we think? This, where I can stop here, or I can keep going. I am going to be bold over here and completely probably mess it up. I don't know. I'm going with this kind of pink red color. I probably wouldn't keep going, but I'm filming, so we're trying out things. Here comes my Nescafe lid. Stamp it in. I'm going to start off the page because I don't know what's going to happen. And just stamp away. And that totally worked. I think it made it look better, not worse. Excellent. I'm quite happy with that. I can stop here, or I can keep going. And since I love my little circles so much, I'm gonna keep going. Oh yes, I'm gonna do yellow and hope for the best. And you know what? I think that's enough. I'm gonna call this painty paper done. You see how simple that was? I wish you could see how it looks in real life. It kind of like the light takes away from it, but I think you can see. It looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with this. So you can't go wrong. You literally cannot go wrong with this kind of thing. So going back to the list, I'm gonna write other ideas and just write down all the things I've mentioned. Glad wrap, plastic wrap, smooshed into wet paint, small balloon, smush into paint and plop on paper. You can use things like bubble wrap, comb, straws, blow paint onto paper, corrugated cardboard. I believe here what you see is corrugated cardboard. So apply paint onto corrugated cardboard and then stamp onto your paper. Then you can like scratch things in and do a semic writing, or just scratch. I'll just write pointy tool, scratch. Then we'll add crunched up plastic, you know, you scrunch it up and then you stamp on. I'll just do one more, I mean the possibilities are endless really, but we'll do the one where you scrunch up the paper while paint is wet, and then I don't have enough space, and then you smooth it out and you go over the top with a different paint. Okay, I don't have enough space. I'm gonna put this up on screen later on so you can take a screenshot. We also have the toilet paper rolls, which I didn't write down, but anyway, you can add that to your list. So what I wanted to say, one last thing before I go, to keep yourself sane while you're doing this process, have a little container next to you where you're going to chuck in all of your dirty brushes, okay? Because when you're changing paint, you might want to grab a new brush for a new paint so you're not getting mud, because if you're mixing paint, you're just going to end up with brown mud. So this is easy. Just have some container next to you where you can just chuck in things, and then you can take the whole thing to the sink and wash it. So I have this on my desk, and then I have the few of my chosen paints in a box, so when I'm using my paints, I use it up, put it back in the box. Otherwise you're gonna be overwhelmed with mess everywhere on your desk. So this is just my easy way to do things. I kind of just pop things that I've used in here and not worry about, you know, the surfaces and things rolling off and all that kind of stuff. Another thing as well, I also like to wear gloves when I'm making painty papers so that I don't get paint all over me. And I'm also wearing an apron, but I didn't wear gloves today because I painted my nails last night, so you know. And there we have it. Painty paper video is done. You have to let me know if this was helpful or if this was overwhelming. Did this inspire you, or did this make you think I'm never gonna make painty papers because it just seems like too much work? You have to let me know. I am quite happy with today's yield. I mean, you know, can be critical of my work, so I don't particularly think any of these pieces are like amazing. You know, oftentimes you'll hear me say, I love this thing that I made today. You know, with this type of thing, I can't say that I'm so proud of it, but you know, I am a little bit, especially this one. I like this one. I really like this one. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to reading your comments. Please also make sure you include your ideas as well, other tools that you can use that I haven't written on my list. And here's the list, by the way. You can take a screenshot. And you know, it's very hard. This is why I kind of didn't make this video earlier, because it seems like such a huge undertaking, because I want to share all the ideas. But the truth of the matter is, There's just too many things that you can do, and that can be paralyzing in itself. And by the way, one thing we didn't do, which I think looks really amazing, is using like a white Posca pen and doing detailed work in your Painty papers. Honestly, sky's the limit with this kind of project, as I'm sure I've managed to demonstrate. Well, at least I hope I've managed to demonstrate. All right, I'm looking forward to your thoughts and comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.